Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's start our video with another family showdown. Spoiler, happy ending. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. 27-year-old sister tries to claim she did everything in the house. So my parents recently divorced and my mom's looking for a place to live at this moment while I live with my dad. My 27-year-old sister cheated on her boyfriend with some dude and her boyfriend told her to leave, so she came to us. The reason why my parents divorced is because my mom complained about my sister not doing anything and just staying in her room and being lazy playing with her boyfriend. This will be important later. And my dad didn't believe my mom. I'm 14 and going into my major years of high school. I'm from the UK, so I need to be working hard, but also have time for my parents, especially my dad as he works 10 hours a day and has to come home to cook, so I help him out. He asks my sister to help, but she doesn't and normally sleeps throughout the day because she isn't sleepy when she's up late playing with her boyfriend. On Saturday, I cleaned up a lot for my dad and even prepared dinner, and because we own snakes, they're my mom's, I take care of them too while she's gone. I normally go back upstairs and continue what I started before I start cleaning. 5 p.m. comes and my dad walks in, so I go down to greet him and stuff, then I go back up while he eats. My sister normally eats later because she's asleep and my dad gets angry when he prepares a meal it normally goes to waste and that she doesn't eat with us like a family. I hear my sister get up and go downstairs to greet my dad and eat dinner, so I go down and see my dad thanking my sister. At this point, I didn't know that she had blatantly lied to him, taking all the credit. I started eating dinner with them and I say to my dad what I did. Here's how the conversation goes. Me: I cleaned up a lot today. The kitchen looks brand new. I hope you like it, because I understand the situation you're going through. Yeah, thanks to your sister, the kitchen looks spotless. Me, confused. What do you mean? She's been in her room all day, basically sleeping. My sister wasn't in the room then? She went back upstairs? She told me she cleaned up everything today, washed up job lot, and said you haven't even exited your room. Shocked look on my face, but I have. I gave up my day of schoolwork just to clean so you didn't have to. Now my dad believes me at this point and tells me what he's gonna do because he's sick of her lying all the time and trying to get me in trouble. He set up some fake cameras that used to be in a business my mom used to own. He called my sister down to say that I cleaned up. Here's the conversation. Bratty sister: no! Tearing up: I cleaned up today, everything. He didn't do F all. He's so lazy. Me, almost tearing up: why are you lying to yourself, sister? You could have just told the truth. Please stop making me look bad all the time. No, you didn't do F all day, you lazy T. Dad should know that. Dad, you need to punish him right now. Dad: now stop saying that to him. He's only 14 and I'll find out myself who did it, because if you look here, camera, I set this up because food has been going missing. The food she eats all the time while he's at work and blames me for it, even though I'm skinny. I looked at her and could see her face go from red to pale every second, the fear in her eyes. I told her she better own up, but kept stuttering. She eventually owned up and my dad got angry and eventually kicked her out. I heard that she told her mother, she's my half-sister, that my dad had been shouting at her every day and doing some other stuff, so the police were called. She had no proof of anything. That was it. Much more before this, she had usually hit me if I told my dad something she hadn't done, which caused me to bruise a lot with red marks. I eventually told my dad this and he had the police called on her. I haven't seen her since. My parents are healing up and might end up getting remarried again, hopefully. She got what she deserved. I hope you and your parents work it out. Wishing you the best. And our second story. Sure, lady, I'll move and watch the whole bus turn on you. I was talking with a friend of mine about the bus routes in her city. I used to live there too, so she asked me if I still remembered the price of tickets and which one goes where. I brought up several stories of instances we both had on buses last year. I asked if I could post one of her stories and she said it was fine. I feel like this qualifies as a good one, but let me know if it needs to be elsewhere. Her story. Gina is my friend. Ariel is rude entitled lady. BD is bus driver. On with the show. The buses in that town have rules about who can sit where. This allows the elderly, pregnant, disabled, and sick to sit up front closest to the door with the most legroom. These seats face the walkway and fold up in case someone is in a scooter or wheelchair. This is important. Gina's a short, older woman in a wheeled walker and a white woman. Again, important. To start the story, we follow Gina as she gets onto the bus, aided by BD. All's normal for a few stops. Then enter Ariel, a dark-skinned woman of average height, looking no later than mid to late 40s, with a complete Karen makeover. She sits across from Gina, and all is well until the next stop. A man in a scooter is waiting to be led onto the bus. BD politely says that one of the ladies will have to move so he can lift the seat and help the man onto the bus. Ariel looks Gina dead in the eyes and says, "Well?" in the most disrespectful and Karen voice. Gina is stunned for a second. This lady expects her to move to another seat on the bus. In order to do that, Gina will have to climb 2 large steps with her walker. This was one of those that has the seat and basket attached to it, so it was on the bulky side, through the narrow walkway, and have to leave her walker in the middle of the aisle, which is a safety violation and will block other passengers from getting on and off the bus. BD steps back onto the bus after lowering the ramp to allow the scooter man to board. "Ladies, I'll ask again." At this point, Ariel looks at Gina as with impatience and scowls. Not wanting to create any drama, Gina slowly gets up and proceeds to move to another seat. Reaching the steps, she asks BD for assistance, not just with her walker, but with her vertigo. After several minutes, BD helps Gina into a seat, but cannot fit the walker anywhere. Needing to get back to his schedule, buses are only supposed to be stopped for 2 minutes if no one's entering or leaving, he leaves the walker in the aisle and proceeds to help Scooter Man into a spot. Some of the people on the bus begin to point out how utterly unfair it was that Gina had to move and that the lady should have. As the bus progressed, more and more people boarded the bus, each and every one complaining about the walker in the aisle, at which the passengers on who witnessed what happened informed them why it was there, to which they turned their attention to Ariel, calling her out on it and demanding that she switch seats with Gina. Ariel scolded them for taking the side of a white woman and how if Rosa Parks didn't move to the back of the bus, neither should she, even calling out the people of color for sitting in the back by their own choice. All the while, Gina is sitting quietly watching the entertainment. It got so bad with all the shouting that BD pulled off to the side of the road and tore everyone a new one for being loud and shouting. Ariel actually had the audacity to claim that she was the victim of their harassment and demanded a free month-long bus pass or else she'd be reporting to the city. BD was having none of it. He pointed to the 3 cameras on the bus and said, "Feel free to show them the evidence. Now get off my bus." Ariel, with her mouth opening and closing like a fish, but she then stood up with a hump, picked up her oversized purse, and walked off the bus. Now there's a bus stop like every block, so she didn't have to walk far, but she did have to wait a whole hour for the next bus to come around. BD also helped Gina back into an appropriate seat. Scooter Guy even felt like he needed to apologize, saying he felt like it was his fault. Gina assured him it wasn't, and they shared a good laugh. That lady is a professional victim. And our last story. How dare you not make it safe for my angels to commit vandalism, theft, trespassing, and destruction of property? We had a couple hundred cars and other motor vehicles stored at any given time. The neighborhood kids, older teens, some were actually adults, liked to break in and steal personal items left in cars, wallets, radios, GPS units, etc. If they stole the radio out of the dash, they'd rip the dash apart, so we'd have to replace the radio and repair the dash. It'd be a very expensive repair. We had a 6+ foot high fence topped with razor wire and an alarm. They'd find ways over it. Usually they'd throw a mattress on the razor wire and hop over using a car. To protect ourselves, we'd put up an electric fence inside our security fence, the one topped with razor wire. The electric fence was 6 feet inside the outer fence. Neighborhood parents decided they were up in arms about our complete disregard for their little F trophies. The local councilman and police lieutenant came to me asking what we could do to calm the neighbors. Mind you, the electric fence was installed with the blessing of the local government, fully permitted and licensed. I told the politician, he was the real mouthpiece, that we would not be disarming or removing the fence. He told me that neighbors were very concerned for their children. I asked him which neighbors were most vocal. He told me. I looked at the lieutenant and told him that those were the kids to look into when there were burglaries and thefts in the area. The Politico asked why. I told him the parents most worried about their kids were the ones that had kids they knew were climbing the other fence and stealing and vandalizing cars. Then I took them to show the fence. You would seriously think the councilman would have taken a closer look at the setup, but he only looked at the big yellow high-voltage warning signs. When we got the storage facility, the lieutenant laughed. The councilman looked like he walked in on his wife in bed with his best friend. He was mad and surprised at the same time. They looked at the setup. The electric fence was 2 full steps inside the property. There was no way to accidentally contact it from the sidewalk. The only way to get to it would be to climb the outer security fence. The kids weren't allowed in there ever, under any circumstances. It didn't take long for the councilman to learn that he'd been played by the neighbors. The lieutenant was fairly entertained. He actually laughed. Then the councilman said something politically correct and left. I looked at the lieutenant, and we talked about the families that were really upset about the fence. They outed themselves as the suspects in a number of crimes. One of the older kids would shoot someone about 2 years later. He'd actually get caught on a stolen ATV from our other location. The lieutenant chuckled and said, "Now I have to figure out what to say to the parents of these crooks." I said, "Tell them I want to know if they prefer their delinquents regular or extra crispy." "How dare you lock up your valuables? My precious angel deserves to burgle you." Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.